Hey guys, welcome to this video. We're going to talk about jury charges for damages. And these will be kind of the general jury charges on damages. So in most cases, and I'm excluding a lot of consumer law type cases, there are three types of damages. There's compensatory, nominal, and punitive. Now, in some consumer type law, so maybe we're suing a debt collector, we're suing a credit bureau, we're suing a mortgage company under some federal statutes, then we can recover what are called statutory damages, which those are not in the pattern jury instructions in Alabama. So I talk about those in other videos, but we'll just stick with these. These are kind of the big three categories of damages. So first is compensatory. Pretty simple. Compensatory damages are awarded to fairly and reasonably compensate for the harm caused by another's wrongful conduct. So if somebody does something wrong and that harms you, then compensatory damages, that's to get you back to where you were. So there's all different types. We'll look at the various jury charges on different types of compensatory damages, but let me just use a simple example. So you have a car worth $20,000 and somebody is driving crazy and they crash into your car. And the second before they hit your car, it was worth $20,000, fair market value. A second after the impact, it was worth $12,000. So what would it take to compensate you for your property damage? Well, if somebody said $4,000, well, that doesn't fully compensate you because you had $8,000 of loss. Well, if somebody says $50,000, well, that's more than compensating you for your property damage. So $8,000 would be the correct compensatory amount for property damage. Now, keep in mind, property damage is just one small part of compensatory damages. Okay, I'm just using that as an example. So that's what compensatory damages are. Now the next category is something that may seem a little bit odd, but these are called nominal damages. So it's a small amount of money awarded, for example, maybe $1, when you're reasonably satisfied from the evidence that the plaintiff has been harmed, but the plaintiff was not able to prove the amount. So sometimes you'll see businesses fight and the plaintiff will be successful and the jury will say, we're awarding you $1. Well, it's kind of unsatisfying, right? You do all this, you get $1. But there is sort of a moral victory. The jury did find against the defendant, and nominal damages can open up the defendant to having to pay attorney's fees, to having to pay punitive damages. So it can be very important. Now, we'll look at punitive damages. And here we see that there's two purposes. One, to punish a defendant for wrongful conduct and to protect the public by deterring or discouraging the defendant and others from doing the same or similar wrongs in the future. Now, to do this, we have to prove by clear and convincing evidence that the defendant consciously or deliberately acted toward the plaintiff with, and then it gives us four things: oppression, fraud, wantonness, or malice. Well, first of all, let's talk about what's clear and convincing evidence. It means it produces in your mind a firm conviction about each element of the claim and a high probability your conclusion is correct. So this is a level of proof greater than proof to your reasonable satisfaction, but it's less than proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So normally in civil cases, we say, sort of the old-fashioned way of saying it is preponderance of the evidence. You have two scales of justice, and if they just slightly tip in somebody's favor, then they've satisfied preponderance of the evidence. Well, and then we have beyond a reasonable doubt for criminal. Well, clear and convincing is kind of in between. And then the instructions go on to say, well, what's oppression? Because remember, there were four categories here: oppression, fraud, wantonness, malice. Oppression means causing a person to undergo cruel and unjust hardship and knowing disregard of that person's rights. Fraud, kind of like it sounds, it's where you're lying to somebody. That may be you're deceiving them or you're keeping something from them that you have an obligation to say. Wantonness is also called recklessness. So that's when you do something and you're reckless, or you just say, I don't care that this is going to hurt somebody or jeopardize the safety of somebody else. Now, malice is the intentional doing of a wrongful act without just cause or excuse. and it could be with an intent to injure somebody or their property, or under circumstances the law will imply an evil intent, and then the judge would describe what that would be. And the last part of this is the jury's told whether you award punitive damages is up to you. So you could decide, hey, there was oppression, there was wantonness, there was malice, there was fraud, but we're not going to award punitive. That's the right of the jury. But if you do award punitive damages, then the amount of the award is determined by the character and degree of the defendant's wrongful conduct and the necessity to prevent that same or similar conduct by the defendant and others. So we want to punish the defendant and discourage the defendant and other companies from doing the same thing in the future. So we'll look at other jury charges that get into these in more detail, but these are kind of the broad categories of damages: compensatory, nominal, and punitive. So appreciate you watching this. Hope you found it helpful, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.